Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I am Nikki. I'm going to share with you today my vegan story and how I went vegan. Um, I don't know exactly how long this is going to be. On trials, I saw 20 minutes. So it's okay if you can't see it right now and you have to come back to it when you are able to do so. I apologize that it's so long, but it has been a lifetime journey for me. So it's it is gonna be long, unfortunately. And also I will reference quite a bit my faith. I just want you to know this off the bat that I am gonna reference a lot about my Christian vegan journey. I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist denominations. For those of you that don't know it about the Seventh-day Adventists, they advocate for plant-based eating. I don't know about now, but at least when I was young, I never saw animal flesh or eggs or dairy at potlucks that we had. Or at least in my memory, it's not like that they used to have only plants. But that's not to say that all members are vegan or vegetarian, but it is the only denomination that I know of that advocates or is more common about either people being vegan or at least plant-based. They became plant-based because of one of the church founders, and her name is Ellen G. White. I will post in this video a little blurb about and links to Ellen G. White. But if you want, you can search Ellen G. White and vegetarianism, and you'll get a whole bunch of links. I do have to say that while I was doing my research, I did see that a lot of people, there is controversy and a lot of hypocrites, or they say that Ellen G. White was a hypocrite, that she was talking about plant-based eating, but yet herself was ate animals. I think for a lot of people, getting to the state of being vegan is an actual process. And I think we shouldn't be too on the bus to condemn anyone or to judge, because for most it is a process. So also I need to say that back then there was no term for veganism. It was just vegetarianism. So a lot of people might maybe said that they were vegetarian, but they really meant that they were vegan. I guess vegetarianism, veganism, being vegan is the highest level of vegetarianism. But so I just wanted a side note of this. So I did grow up omnivore, but I did dominantly eat vegetarian. But I still consumed eggs and I still consumed dairy. My dad was a huge influence as why I was vegetarian. He was very aware of the hormones and things that go into meat. So for the most part, we did not have meat in our home. And I guess part of my dad's influence as why we ate vegetarian mostly is because his father was also vegetarian. So it's kind of a line of generations promoting vegetarian. So those were big influences as why I was vegetarian, or yeah, vegetarian. I also have to say that growing up, I also never liked the meat section of the supermarket. It never used to make me feel good to be in the the meat part of the supermarket. So it just would give me a bad feeling. So it always felt like it was like small, subtle ways saying that I need to go vegan kind of thing. But my first time eating meat, I think it was later on in life. I didn't eat meat when I was like a baby. I didn't eat meat when I was young. The only time that it really started was when I was a bit older. And the first time I went to school and they had something like hamburger day or McDonald's day or something like that. And that was the first time that I had meat for the first time. But we didn't really, when we would go food shopping, we never bought beef, or we never, bought all kinds of different things. And later, a little bit later in life, we did start to bring fish and sometimes chicken, but it was mostly the meats that I remember the most eating, that my dad would bring into the house was frozen fish, and then we would have that. And I do have to say that we did eat animals, but we would eat it occasionally when we would go to Taco Bell or McDonald's, and we would be out. So like I did grow up as an omnivore, so I can't say I didn't eat meat. I did eat meat, but it wasn't a big staple, like in most people's houses that they have it all the time. And I do want to also say that I have survived food poisoning, and I honestly think it's the miracle that I'm still alive today, because one of the food poisonings that I had was horrible. I'm already pale as I am, and I was white as a ghost, like white as a sheet of paper. Like I was that white when I was sick, and I was throwing up. I don't even have recognition of that weekend. I just know that I was sick and I got food poisoning. And I just feel like there are like little things that happen, and when I look back, that kind of line up, that was kind of pointing me that I should have gone vegan. And also, I also want to make a side note, even though this isn't about that, but I grew up with parents that were separated. So on my way to go to spend the weekend with my mom, we would often pass by the transport trucks carrying pigs or cows or chickens to slaughter. And I was very naive when I was little, and I thought that they were just moving the animals to another farm or moving it from farm to farm. But one day my dad told me where they were headed. And so I knew that those pigs and those animals in those transport trucks were going to be slaughtered. But even back then, I used to have a vivid imagination, as a lot of kids tend to be. And I would start imagining what goes on and where those animals were gonna go through. And I also have to say that there was another, I know this is not for a slaughterhouse, but there was a billboard for Schneider on the highway. And whenever I would pass it, for some reason, I would start imagining what goes on in slaughterhouses, even though Schneider is not a slaughterhouse. It's a food processing company, like all the different brands of meats that is out there. I can't even think of one. I'm sorry. besides Snyder. So I would be thinking about that. And I know for a lot of people that this might sound crazy, but I feel like God has been calling me since I was young for me to go vegan. Even though I was absolutely terrible about actually following through with it. But okay, let's jump across some years ahead. There was a part where I got quite disconnected. I was no longer connected to those thoughts. I was no longer connected to that message that I needed to go vegan. But in 2007, I had a mental health crisis, and that was the first revelation in a very long time that I needed to go vegan. And then later on in 2009 to 2010 time frame, I was touching raw chicken breast to make a soup. And I was so disgusted by the touch and preparing it that I did not have any of the soup that I made. And I was utterly disgusted. For a large amount of my life, when I would eat animals, I felt guilty. There was always this subconsciously, like there was always this guilt of me eating the animal. So that is something that I always had. But let's get to the beef and the reason beef. Okay, we need a new term. Let's get to the center of why and how I actually went vegan. In 2011, I was working with an organization that helps people to find work. The lady that was helping me heard of an organization that goes to Mexico for spay and neuter clinics. This lady, she knew that I loved animals, and so she passed on the message for me. And I was looking to do graphic design work for this organization when they invited me to come down to a clinic to help. And at this clinic, we had an emergency dog come in. It was attacked by a machete, and it lost an eye in the whole ordeal. But I do want to happy to say, for those wondering, the dog did survive the attack. The dog is happy. She is living her best life up here where I live, not in my city, but in my province. And she's spoiled, and she's living her life. But because of when I was back from the clinic, because I was so outraged and inspired to speak up against animal cruelty, when I was searching Facebook, and I came across this site this page called Animal Cruelty Exposed. On this page, it was very, I have to say that there's a lot of vegans that just put the imagery out there. I have huge respect for the images because it is what made me go vegan. But on the other hand, this page was very good at providing information as well. So it wasn't just like the graphic image of a cow being slaughtered. There was information with it to go with the image. And so I started learning what goes on to animals for their skin, for dairy, for people to eat and stuff like that. They also shared a page that I also follow called the Bloody Dairy Industry. And that is what got me to stop consuming dairy. But by October of 2012, the clinic that I went to was in January 2012. So in between January 2012 and October 2012, I started getting a lot of information, and I think it was in September. I think it was September of 2012, I decided that I was going to stop eating land animals. So I stopped eating land animals, but I was still eating fish. But early into 2013, I'm going to say around February, March timeframe, I saw something through the animal cruelty exposed Facebook page, which no longer exists. Something that got me thinking about fish, and I stopped eating fish as well, even though I wasn't eating tons of fish. Like, I think in between the time that I stopped eating land animals to the time that I stopped eating fish, I think I had it like 4 or 5 times only. So it was very minimal. And then I do have to say that I made a decision in July 2013 that I was going to go vegan. It was a decision for me. I just, I was getting all the information, I was learning, and I just said, this is it. I am no longer going to be part of this. And so I made the decision. And after I finished my 1 yogurt, I said no more. If I want yogurt, it's going to be plant-based yogurt. It's not going to be animal-based yogurt anymore. And but I do have to say that for me, it was a huge process. And I do have to say, in between the time that I stopped eating land animals to the actual time that I went vegan, I was introducing myself to plant-based alternatives. For example, instead of buying plant-based, instead of buying dairy ice cream, I was buying non-dairy ice cream. So I was trying to introduce the non-dairy alternatives and alternatives to what I used to eat. So basically, that is my vegan story. I don't know if you found any value or any interest. Feel free to share it. Feel free to leave comments. If you have any advice or you want to me to do another topic or another video, feel free to leave it in the comments of this video. I also ask that you please give me a little bit of grace about this video. I am not a professional video maker. I just wanted to put my story out there and how I went vegan, and maybe it will inspire someone else. And I am going to be tagging this video as a Christian vegan story, because I hope that it might reach some other Christians. And if you're a Christian and you want to go vegan, I'm also going to put some resources to some Christian vegan organizations that can also help you with that if you're interested. And you can always contact me as well. I thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later.